Hello, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to Jays Latest. I'm your host, Craig Borden. We're going to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays, and wow, do we have some fun ones to talk out today. So, first things first, I wanted to talk once again about Kyle Tucker because, of course, we just started talking about him yesterday as a potential free agent target for the Blue Jays, and we get the great Bob Nightingale discussing that today in the media. And I quote, Tucker is a native of Tampa. He's going to sign with either the Yankees, Blue Jays, or the Los Angeles Dodgers, of course, because why wouldn't they sign Kyle Tucker to an outfield spot? Because it's not like they don't have every other, rich thing in the baseball universe as it is. But the Blue Jays are what he goes to quote unquote in this article as the perfect fit. They train in Tampa basically because that's where Dunedin, Florida is. And they do all these wonderful things in Tampa. And in addition to having one of the beautiful, most wonderful places to be able to go and play all year round at the sports complex that the Blue Jays have in Dunedin, Florida, thanks to the wonderful partnership that is the city of Dunedin with the Toronto Blue Jays. We've had the Mayor Mo Freeney of Dunedin on multiple times on the Jaybird Watching podcast, and she has nothing but the nicest things to say about the crazy complex the Blue Jays have to train in. And it is 100% one of those places where players see it, they're going to want to be there and learn how to play, stay in better shape, be at the peak of their game for a 162 plus game season, hopefully, when you got somebody adding like Kyle Tucker to this lineup. So let's say you're doing that. It's perfect, right? You had this lineup like we were talking about. It's well constructed, and there's just smoke to that fire. The other option in this whole equation, of course, is the Yankees also train in Tampa. Literally, it's where the Tampa Bay Rays actually ended up just playing all their home games this past season because of the unfortunate reality is the hurricane that has wrecked the Tropicana Field dome, and they're still cleaning it up. So I think the Rays are destined to be playing at Steinbrenner Field and outside of Tampa, right where, funny enough, across the street from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football stadium. So they share a parking lot. So it's a really cool spot. But at the end of the day, it will be really, really fun to see if Bob Nightingale predicts this to be true. Let's see where it goes. I do think there's some smoke to that fire. And the Blue Jays do have the time and the money to be able to do that for the almost 29-year-old power hitting gold glove winning right fielder. And it will be very interesting and intriguing to see if the Blue Jays can pull that one off. Because imagine if they were able to pull that lineup out with the money that they saved from Bassett, the money they saved from Max Scherzer, or at least the discounted rates that those two gentlemen would come back and get, and be able to run this one right back to the World Series with Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker surrounding Vlad Guerrero Jr., not to mention hopefully a healthy Anthony Santander, Alejandro Kirk. And the nice thing is, everything just falls into place beautifully if you end up getting somebody as a right fielder like Kyle Tucker, because you can move Addison Barger back to third, and then Ernie Clement gets to play second base every day with Andres Jimenez potentially playing short. If you don't have Bo, if you do have Bo, Andres Jimenez plays second or short, depending on which Bo takes. And you have the wonderful platoon and power that is Addison Barger and Ernie Clement playing over in that other spot there at third base. Very cool to see. That platoon worked very well at third base this off season or this season, so we'll see where it goes. But we have a free agent target we are going to discuss today, and that is Framber Valdez. And me personally, I do not want to see Framber Valdez. But we'll discuss that a little bit further as far as that piece goes. And wow, I need to. So anyway, Valdez is a potential Blue Jay free agent target. He is going to be commanding a quite hefty summary for our salary for whatever he's going to be making this year. 33 mil is the guess, and that's probably not a bad guess. You look at what he's done in his career. The problem is he's 32 years old, like within like 3 days. so, so a 3.8 WAR and a 13-11 record with a 3.66 ERA in his past season. He actually has a 3.36 ERA for the entirety of his career, and he's had a really solid 8-year career with the Houston Astros. Actually peaking out and leading the league in 2022 with innings of 200, which just sounds hilarious for people like me that grew up in the era of Roy Halladay. and all these other wonderful pitchers that actually, Dave Steeps, that actually threw the ball for more than 200 innings, almost 300. um, he threw 3 complete games that year, including a shutout, and then the following season he had 2 complete games, 2 shutouts. So he's somebody that finishes his games in a era where nobody does that. But at the end of the day, is he the right fit? Regardless of what's on the stat sheet, the back of his baseball card says that he demands that kind of money, and the age is the one dig on that whole thing. But there's this wonderful issue that I have with the, I'll say, content of character clause, and that's where I'm going to spend the part of my piece here. And if you are all not familiar with the catcher cross-up, basically in a game against the Yankees in clutch timing this season, the Houston Astros were pitching, out in the field. Bases are loaded. You see the Astros young catcher just like, no, don't throw the ball. And Valdez decides to, screw it, and just throws it. But he throws a meatball right down the middle of the plate to Trent Grisham, who has had one of the best seasons he's ever had, obviously. And wouldn't be shocking to me if he somehow got a few MVP votes just because of the way the voting works. But he deposits that thing in the Crawford boxes. Grand slam. The following pitch, as a baseball player, even the levels that I did were nowhere near at the level. I can't imagine doing this to my pitcher, or if I was the catcher, having my pitcher do this to me. Clearly an off-speed pitch was called, and Valdez decides to rear back and throw the ball as hard as he humanly possibly can. And the ball nails the catcher right in the chest. Point blank, right into the chest protector. Clearly had no idea a fastball was coming. The young catcher stands up and kind of has a look of what the hell on his face. And in the midst of this, Valdez rifles the ball, turns completely right around after he threw the pitch, and starts walking back to the rosin bag. Did not even have the balls to look at his catcher in the face after he did it. If you were trying to send a message to your own catcher, your teammate, your battery mate, which is one of the most secret things in all things baseball, is the relationship between pitcher and catcher. It's just what it is. If you were trying to send a message, you sent it the horribly worst way you could humanly possibly think of in that situation. If I was catching, I might have charged my own pitcher. It is not cool. And I can't imagine being on the receiving end of that, no matter how old or young or anything that catcher is. He's never had anybody do that to him, and he had to be dumbfounded to know what was. And then the catcher, the youngster, after the game just had the other parts to that said, don't worry about it, it was a cross-up. I cannot imagine what it felt like being in that locker room afterwards. The Blue Jays culture cannot handle an ego like that. We are too solid in that locker room. Things are too pretty, too perfect. Everything's got a nice little bow on it after the World Series, and they're literally, the word love has been flying around. You cannot put that personality, or even somebody that comprehended that piece, into this Blue Jays locker room. It spells disaster. It spells not team first. It says I'm playing for the name on my own back, not for you. And I do not want that in our locker room. And you can quote me on that. So, on that note, that's my vote. Not worth it. Move on to the next person. That pile of money that it will cost, there is a bajillion other people I would rather much have. I'd rather bring Chris Bassett back. At least I know that his mentality in that locker room is going to help carry this Toronto Blue Jays team, regardless of weird shenanigans like this. And there's just so many good pitchers that could fit this. I would love to see Ranger Suarez. I would love to see Michael King. I would love to see even Lucas Giolito get a chance. It would be one of those things that I would rather have those headaches that come with any of those situations than watching a 32-year-old egotistical pitcher show up in my locker room. If it was me coaching, but what do I know? Just a podcast host. So, on that note, let me know what you think in the comments, Blue Jays fans. Do you want Framber Valdez? Do you agree with me that there's too much drama worth the price? What do you think? I really think he's going to have a harder free agent market because of what he did in that situation than he thought he's going to have. It's got some other perks in his factor that, he's a lefty, some of these things, but I really don't know if I would want to deal with that. scream bad teammate to me, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget that. So, is what it is. I've been proven wrong before, but I would not be jumping over handsprings if we spent that pile of money of $33.3 million out of my wallet for Framber Valdez. So, there we go. That's what I got, Blue Jays fans. That's today's show. Make sure you tune in and you have a fun time with us. We will be here talking Blue Jays news as much as humanly possible day to day, so we can talk all things hot stove and all the wonderful rumors and everything that are going to be going along with our wonderful fun that is the recaps of all the things that did happen this season with our players. Make sure you tune in Wednesday night live for the Jaybird Watching podcast. We're going to have Blue Jay great Rance Mullenix going to be back on the show, so make sure you join us and don't miss that one. 500th episode of JBW coming soon too, so make sure you tune in, and we will talk all things Jay's latest with you. Hit those likes, share, and subscribes, and thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Cheers.